Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
Remy and I always sought out places with a story. Old cabins, forgotten farmhouses, anything with a whisper of the past. So when we found the listing for a decommissioned fire lookout tower nestled deep in the coastal mountains, I practically snatched it up. It was remote, barely accessible, promising weeks of quiet for my research into forgotten philosophies and Remy's landscape photography. He humored my esoteric leanings, often calling them my pretty curiosities, but he never truly believed in the deeper meanings I chased. The tower itself was magnificent, a rusted steel skeleton rising above the tree line, crowned with a small glass-enclosed cupola. The views were breathtaking, but it was the cupola that truly captured me. The old glass panes, pitted and scratched by decades of wind and rain, held faint, intricate etchings. They weren't random vandalism. They were deliberate, geometric patterns, subtly alien. I spent days tracing them, convinced they were some kind of celestial schematic, a map to something beyond our mundane perception. Remy would bring me coffee, watch me pore over them with a magnifying glass, and just shake his head, smiling. I found a dusty box in a forgotten corner of the tower's main room, filled with archaic brass instruments, sextants, armillary spheres, and a strange multi-lens telescope. They felt like they belonged with the etchings. Over the next few nights, I began to experiment, aligning them under the full moon, attempting to focus the moonlight through the etched glass. I felt a pull, a rising tension, but nothing happened. Remy would just sigh and remind me to get some sleep, until one night. I was alone, Remy having driven down to the nearest town for supplies. The moon was a bloated pearl, hanging directly over the tower. I arranged the instruments again, more carefully this time, following a strange intuition that pulsed in my fingertips. As the moonlight finally hit the central lens and passed through a particularly dense etching on the cupola glass, something shifted. Not physically, not audibly. It was internal. A deep, resonant thrumming started behind my eyes, growing in intensity until I felt my skull might split open. The world around me shimmered, then resolved, but it wasn't the same. It was as if a veil had been torn away. I saw them, threads, shimmering, ethereal lines of energy connecting everything. The leaves on the trees were bound to the soil by them, the clouds to the distant ocean. But more terrifyingly, people were woven into this intricate tapestry. I saw Remy's car miles away, a thick cluster of vibrant threads extending from its metallic frame, through the winding mountain road, directly back to the tower to me. I saw not just its current path, but all the possible paths it could have taken, the ones it would take. Every decision, every consequence, laid bare as a web of iridescent strands. And then I saw it, not within the threads, but as the vast, silent spaces between them, an immeasurable, formless absence that stretched beyond my comprehension. It wasn't an entity that spoke or moved. It was the chilling, indifferent awareness woven into the very fabric of existence, the watcher of all the patterns. It simply was, and it observed me observing it. My understanding of time fractured. Days blurred into moments, conversations with Remy repeated, though he insisted we hadn't spoken about those things before. He started looking at me differently, with a worried frown, asking if I was getting enough sleep. I was, but the sleep felt like a continuation of the waking nightmare, the threads still visible behind my closed eyelids. The true horror settled when Remy returned from town. A week later, or maybe a day, I couldn't be sure. I looked at him, truly looked with my new sight. His threads were vibrant, but one specific cluster, originating from a casual decision he'd made weeks ago, a minor financial investment, a new route to his mother's house, coiled into a knot of darkness, converging on a specific point in his near future. A terrible event. An accident. It was so clear, so undeniably real. I saw the branching pathways where he could avoid it, but they were faint, almost invisible, requiring specific, unlikely choices. I have this knowledge now, this terrible, all-encompassing awareness. I can see the threads, the destiny, and I know I can, theoretically, reach out and snip one, reroute another. But the watcher, the silent void between all things, seems to pulse with a chilling warning. What happens when you unravel the fabric of reality? What becomes of the weaver? And what becomes of the one whose fate you dare to alter? Remy is sleeping in the next room, oblivious to the shimmering catastrophe heading his way. I feel the constant pressure behind my eyes, the silent gaze of the watcher on me. I don't know if I can live with this knowledge, or if I can live with what I might do.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.